Alright, this week's lesson, we're just basically going to go over what we went over last week. We started Wildwood Flower, and I'm just going to basically kind of do a repeat of that lesson so that you'll have something to reference back to, okay? So that's basically all that's going on, so let's get into it. We definitely want to be able to use those, G licks and C licks and things like that we used, that we've been working on. Okay, so we definitely want to be able to use those, and those are, you can plant those in just about, any bluegrass song that's out there. So let's just start. I think seems like we did start on C. Yeah, I believe we did. We worked on C, so we'll do it in C, and maybe later on we can try it in G or something like that. But it's very important to know, like I've said and stressed many times, that a lot of your notes that you need are going to be within the chord shape. It may be one finger difference. It may be, putting a pinky down or putting a finger up here on this note instead of right where the C is, putting it up on this one. And so a lot of notes you're going to need are going to be in and around that chord shape in the first place. So we started out, I think, with a basic Carter family version. And that's what basically we want to do with every single song we learn, is we find the basic melody of the song, how it sounds, how it goes. And believe it or not, this song has lyrics to it. But a lot of times we don't hear the lyrics. We usually hear it as an instrumental or a fiddle tune. So I mean, it's important to get that tune in your head into key of C. You want to be able to hum that in your head without playing those notes. You want to be able to hit that C. And then, because that really helps your ears, it trains your ears so that if you have a note that you can't find, then you can, that you can't, what I'm trying to say. If you have a note that you are having a hard time trying to find in the song that you hear, well, if you can hum it and then kind of repeat it and work it out on the scale, then that really helps a lot. Your ears are really important. So we started with a basic version, and then what we want to do is develop it from there using hammer-ons, pull-offs, other notes within the chord, within the scale, whatever. So be sure to, on these videos, to pay attention to the picking hand as well as the right hand, the fretting hand. And don't forget that YouTube, on a lot of videos now, are allowing you to go to the bottom right hand side, click that little gear, that little cog wheel, and adjust the speed. So if you have any problems, you can slow it down by half speed, and it should be really easy to follow. And it doesn't change the pitch. It makes it sound echoey, but at least it doesn't change the pitch, so that you can still play along. So let's go ahead and get started. Now on this, you can go one of two ways. You can go, or, so you can do either the G and the G again, or the G and the B string. But then either way, the next note will be that D string on the second fret. I think we said that in between each, there's three notes. 1, 2, 3, strum. 1, 2, 3, strum. 1, 2, 3, strum. 1, 2, 3. It's a down up. So you can go to G7 there, which is a very, very good cowboyish sounding tune there, sounding chord. So that's basically, the cool thing about that is there's not a lot of difference in picking, changing, or anything like that. It's all downstrokes. The only upstrokes is the upstrokes on the strums, of course. So we got a lot of that. That's basic. That's the foundation. Okay, when we build a tune, we want to have a foundation of the main melody of the tune, just the main, bare bones skeleton of the thing. From there, we start, upping our game a little bit. We start adding little licks. We start adding, those some of those things in there. We add other little riffs and things like that. And one way to do this is, you know, like I went over, just playing around with some of the notes around the chord. Open strings, you know, hammer-ons to the open strings, pull-offs, some of that stuff. So we could go. Now that causes me to want to do an upstroke on that B string, because I'm coming back down on that D anyway. And that, I skip that G string as I'm coming up. If you'll watch that picking hand. Skipping that G string, coming down on that D. Now that's really good. Those string skips are really good to get you used to kind of where you're at on the strings here. Or you can do downstroke as well. It doesn't matter. It's just the way I play that I'm used to doing, you know, kind of setting myself up for the next pick stroke. So that was a hammer on there. Okay, so we got. So that's another hammer on there. Now when I'm doing this, notice I'm not just hitting one note. I'm actually keeping this chord shape here. A lot of times you want to do that, especially if you're hitting strings past a certain point. In other words, I don't want to just hit this. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't. If I did that there, it wouldn't sound right, so I need that C. So if I know that I'm going to be hitting strings and, you know, have a chance it may be hitting one of the strings I don't intend to, then I'll keep the chord shape. That way it'll at least sound right. Notice that the first of this I didn't either. I'm thinking I'm only picking the G and the D here. I'm not just going. I'm going. Now that's another thing. That I'm kind of coming down and hitting two notes, which is why I'm leaving my first finger there so it won't sound like. You gotta have it that C sound, the C key. And another thing you can do is we can do, you know, or just walking that up to that C, or even. We could do a hammer on there. Okay, so we could add some of that in there so it won't sound, you know, that alternating bass note won't be so boring. So there was something else I just realized there. You can do pull-offs. That was mostly hammer-ons, so let's try to put some pull-offs in there. There's one right there. Or you can go. Oops. Now with a pinky, it's a little different because it's a weaker finger. So just don't forget that a pull-off is not just lifting your finger up. It's actually picking and kind of grabbing onto that string with that finger. So I'm flicking it. Notice my pinky here is coming down. It's coming out, but it's also coming down to allow me to pull that string down just a hair. I'm not trying to bend it out of tune or anything. I'm just barely, you know, flicking it. And that's another place you can do it there. Now, let's put some of those runs in there that we've been working on. Some of that stuff, okay? And we're just going to do this very slow so that you'll know what the timing is, so you'll know how to come in with it. So, and another thing we've been doing lately is counting. That really helps when we're playing tunes like this, but it could definitely trip me up having to count everything. So I'll try it. We'll see what happens. 1, 2, 3. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, Like I said, it's going to mess me up if I try that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Actually, it might be wrong. I'm not sure. I've never really thought of the timing on that one. But anyway, let's try putting in some of those C licks, and I'll play slow enough to where you can kind of hear where the timing comes in. That's probably the best way to do it. Just get a feel for it. Now let's extend that to a longer one. Now that's a down, and then an up down on the G, and that's a pull off. Do that one again. Let's do another one. Now that's the tough one because we're in C. It's going to be first fret. Like that. Like that. So that's 1, 2 on the D string. Up, that's a downstroke. Down, up, down again. Pull off on that G string. And usually it's going to be a downstroke on that C note there on the first fret of the B string. And if that don't work, you can also go like this. But that's going to require up down on the G and then up down on the B. Up down. And then the last one is the full one. That's going to be immediately after you come back to the Now once again the picking, down, then an upstroke. Then since we're doing a hammer-on that skips the downstroke, so we're going to do another upstroke on the G. Up, down, pull off, down on that C. Okay, so immediately after you hit that C, okay, and then you can work on it and try to build up to speed from there. I know the more advanced licks like that one may take a while to build up. That's fine. Now, there's something really cool there too that I really stress on a lot of bluegrass songs, and I actually stress it on my Bluegrass Guitar Essentials course, is the first fret pull off. That's very important in the keys of C, G, and D, and their relative minor keys. For C, it's A minor. For G, it's E minor. And for D, actually, let's see. That's actually F, and the middle relative minor is D minor. But you can use the major counterpart there. Same thing with A. Instead of A minor, I can do A. If I'm an E, regular E, I can use that too. So, not to keep it from getting too confusing, let's just say we're on C. The first fret pull off is going to come on the D string, first fret. That's a pull off. So you got to get used to, and you could probably hear. If I pick the string lightly, you can probably hear that flicking noise. So I'm really, grabbing that string, using, I don't know if you can see this or not, but there's that little indentation in my finger there. They're in all of them. And that indentation kind of comes up and kind of sinks down in there, locks it in place, and then I can just pull it out. But usually that would come in. So it's going to be, instead of pulling off from here, like we were earlier, we can do this. Have our first finger ready to come down. And we're going to be in the G right there anyway. We can let go of this G shape, come this first finger down. So practice just that much. It's 2 separate movements. It's 2 downstrokes. Okay, it's going to take even longer because I've got to splice the videos together. But anyway, what I was talking about is you come down, it's 2 downstrokes. Okay, so... and that just puts all fingers down again so you can come back to the... Okay, so that's the first half of the song, and there's probably blue millions of other things that I can do. Let's see what I can do coming up here. There's one right there. It's a quick hammer-on and pull off like that. It's called a trill. You probably heard this before. But I was using that trill there on the D string, 2nd fret. I don't remember when I did it now. You can rewind it and figure out what I did, but that's how I did it. Once again, that's 2 downstrokes. That's another little phrase I like to put at the end of just to kind of top it off instead of like a C run. This right here really kind of caps a phrase off as well, and that's just a down, pull up, hammer on the D, keeping the C shape, up to the G, up stroke on the G, and then back down on the note we just did. We skip that G string on that last note, and we come up on that C note on the B string. So it's D, G, D, B. And you can do that in G too, it works. Okay, so like I said, there's plenty more things that I could do with this. Let's see what we got here. Trying to figure out how much time I got left. About another 15 minutes or something like that. So there's a cool little thing that you can do at the end of this. We'll probably go over the second half of the song next week. But what I was thinking, let's see. That's a cool little lick that you can do there too. So we can do it one of 2 ways. We could either do it all picking, and all that is coming, it's going to be a downstroke. We're starting with a downstroke on the C. Now I don't have to really technically have to keep this whole C shape in place, because eventually I have to move this finger anyway to get down to the note previously to it. And my middle finger is moving around anyway, and I'm not hitting more than one note at a time like I was. I'm aiming for one clean phrase now, one note at a time. So I can think of the C shape and all the notes around there, and just leave this finger here so it can sustain while I'm playing the other notes. Notice how they sustain. I don't stop them. They're sustaining, so that's why this finger is still held down. So this is going to be down, and this is alternate picking if you choose to pick it. So let's start with the down and up, and then down and up, and continue on. Down, up on the 2nd fret, open the G. Same thing with the D. 2nd fret up, open, down, and then up, 2nd fret A, and then down on the C note. And if you wanted to hammer that or pull that off, that's all upstrokes now, because that pull off is taking place of our downstroke, like I said earlier. So it's all upstrokes after that initial downstroke until you get to the last note. So the first note and the last note's downstroke. The rest of them are upstrokes. So down, up, 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 down. Okay, now typically I would add one more little phrase to that, and that is, so we can practice both of those. Let's practice this second one here. All it is I'm keeping now I am keeping the C shape, because this is coming right after I've hit that note. This string is still probably ringing out, so now it's going to be, and now you kind of got the C, all the notes not straight down, but you've got them, you got this one here, you got this one, and then they're kind of flowing into each other, cascading into each other. So all that is it's a D string, open string, pull off or hammer on, downstroke, and then an upstroke on that G, downstroke on that C, because the last note we want to have a downstroke on. It just has more attack that way. It sounds better that way. You can have more power that way. And the tricky thing about that is we have what's called the inside and the outside of the string phenomenon. Outside of the string is on the outside is kind of like this. I'm playing on the outside, the outer edge of the string. So on the top part of the string and the bottom part of the next string. The inside is when we have the bottom part of one string and the top part of another string. So it's like this. And that's, most notoriously the more difficult of the two. But it happens here on that last couple notes. Up, down. On that G is up, it's the underside of the G and the top side of the B string. So what you're wanting to do is whenever you don't want to come up too much on the G string when you hit that G string, because then you'll have to come down, go past it to hit the B string. You want to kind of just barely hit it. With force, you're using your fingers here for a little bit of force. And then you want to kind of keep it in the same vicinity of the bottom edge of that string so that you can come right back down and not have to worry about this string hindering you from hitting that B string. It's kind of hard to explain that, and I hope I've done a good job of it. So when you start it, that starts with the downstrokes. But I'm thinking it actually, if you're putting it with the other phrase, it starts with an upstroke. So let's see how that works. Let's see. Yeah, it starts with an upstroke after you do this. That's the downstroke. So instead of doing a downstroke on the D, now we're going to do an upstroke. That hammer-on counts as the down, up on the G, and a down on the B. Okay? Or you can go like that. Just put your G in the bass and make it a really nice wide C chord. And you'll notice the higher notes are going to sound out more. You're going to have that in there, kind of tucked in the middle of those strings. So let's try that at the end, and I think we'll be done for the lesson for the day. Might be a little short, but that's about all I can really am comfortable, going over on a video lesson until you have a chance to get used to this portion of the song. Then next week we'll come back and do the second half of the song, the one that sounds like. We'll come back and do that part next week. Now, next Monday is Memorial Day, so I'm probably going to plan on doing your lesson on that Tuesday so that I can take Memorial Day off, because I'll probably be gone at like a family function or whatever. So let me check my calendar to make sure that I'm not messing up that time, that day. Nope, next Monday is Memorial Day, so next Monday I'll probably be doing the lesson next Tuesday for you. So I'll be watching for that next Tuesday. But let's do this, and we can call it a day for the day, and I hope it's enough, you know. Hope you've kind of remembered and retained a lot of the stuff we talked about last week in person. And then that way we can, you know, this is kind of a refresher course, you know. And maybe once you go over this one this week and practice it, next week won't be so bad. And just keep in mind, you always want to put some of those hammer-ons in there. A lot of the notes are going to be around the chords that you're playing already. There was a note right before the root. That we got the first fret pull off. We have to use that first fret for that C run. Or, so we got a note behind the C as well. If this note works, then this one will, because they're both the note before C. So let's play this and include that the very last section. 1, 2, 3. Let's try it again with pull-offs. Let's try. Seems like I like it better with picking, all pick strokes. So, and that's a little tougher. But like I said, you can use that little YouTube gear thing to slow things down. I'm going to try to do this where I don't mess up, so I'll keep it going. And the thing that happens there is if you're doing all pick strokes, it sounds very nice and precise, but then it allows more of the legato and more of the what's the word, smoothness of those hammer-ons later at the end of this, kind of smooth things out. Now notice there's a lot of strings ringing out there. C is ringing out until I get to the very end. So if I mimed what I was doing and didn't play what I was doing and held that C note down, you'll see what's happening. Okay? Da, 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 da. So the whole time the B string is ringing that C note. Just remember, if you want that to happen, you've got to hit that first C note on the B string here kind of hard. So and sometimes that happens. You hit that G twice instead of, and that's what I was saying earlier. You got to try not to come up too much on that G, because the next downstroke inside that string phenomenon there, you have a tendency to hit that G string twice instead of like that. So. So you got all these options here. Once again, this makes it sound nice and accurate, and then you add the little smoothness of this. To me, it sounds better doing that than, because you got a lot of and it just, to me, it just kind of kills the accuracy and I don't know, just the accuracy. That's the best word I can come up with. You want to sound accurate and fluid in your playing. And you don't want to have too many hammer-ons, too many pulls-offs. You want a kind of nice balance between all of it. So that's the lesson for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got a lot out of it. Next week, like I said, will probably happen on a Tuesday. And we'll go into the second part. And we'll probably, on the second part, is when some of the fun stuff happens, because we got several options on what the chords are going to be, what we can do with the chords. Okay, so we got several different options on. If you listen to Tony Rice's version and some other people's version, there's a couple extra chords they throw in there to really make it have a good sound, and I think Doc Watson does a good job of that too. So we'll go over that next week, and after that, probably will be. Let's see. After next week, the next lesson looks like it's the first of the month again. So it'll probably be an in-person lesson, and if you want to do that. Otherwise, the only thing I can think of is we can try to transpose all this stuff, what we're learning, into the key of G, and try to play it in the key of G. Like I said before in the last lesson that you were here, I'm not worried about D so much, because you can always use a capo on the second fret and play the same thing here, moved up 2 steps. So I'm not worried about learning a whole lot of everything in D, because G and C is enough for right now for a beginner. So I'll just get off here, and thanks for watching, and look forward to seeing your progress pretty soon. Next week we'll do the second part, and then we'll go from there. Talk to you later. Take care.